Howdy, 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 this is Ryan, as it is Murphy, coming to you with another edition of Smarking Off, where we talk about various pro wrestling topics. In this edition, we're going to be talking about jobbers. To job or not to job, that is the question. Sorry about that, I have a bit of a thing with one side of my mouth. I try to stop it, but it does it anyway. I can't help it. I need to open my mouth wider when I talk, I suppose. Okay. Enough nonsense. Jobbers. Do we still need jobbers in pro wrestling? Well, I always, when I talk about things like this, I always try to look at it from the point of view of what would I do if I was running my own promotion. I would love to run my own pro wrestling promotion, by the way, but I can't because I have no money. I'm po. But would I use jobbers? Do we really need jobbers? Well, again, I can only look at it from my own point of view. What would I be doing? What would I do if I was running my own company, my own promotion? And I have to ask myself the question, why would I want jobbers? And it's easy to say, I like listening to some of Jim Cornette's stuff. I don't agree with him on everything. And other, like, guest booker series and whatnot. And I understand that back in the day, it was fine to be a jobber. Back in the territory days, you could be a successful jobber because, you could lose to everybody in one territory and then go work in another territory. And there was like 14, 15, 16 territories just in the United States alone. And there was Japan and Puerto Rico and Mexico and Germany and England. You could be a jobber and travel the fucking world losing every fucking match you were ever in. But because there was, TV was regional and the territories were regional, nobody would see you from one territory to the next. It didn't matter if you lost everybody, because once you had lost everybody in one territory, you could just go to the next one, like I said. And you could spend your entire career losing, and it wouldn't matter. You'd still make a good living doing it. Especially if you were really good at being a jobber and making the other people in the matches look like dynamite. You could make good money doing that. But once you started having national TV shows and then having the internet and people being able to find your stuff online, you can't do that anymore. So I have to ask the question, if I'm going to have a pro wrestling promotion, I'm going to hire people. If I'm going to have people under contract working for me, and I need them to be able to do weekly shows and then monthly big shows and maybe like biannual, is that right? Twice a year, really big shows or something like that. I can't afford jobbers. Even if I was to suddenly become like a $100 millionaire. I have $100 million in the bank to work with, which means running a wrestling promotion would be, money-wise, would be easy. I didn't have to worry about money to run my promotion. I still would need to justify hiring everybody. And if I'm going to hire someone to work for me, what the fuck is the point of having them on the roster if they're just going to job out to everyone? It's stupid. It makes no sense. They look weak. They end up being weak. And even if you put them on, like, okay, they're going to lose this match, and then they're going to win these two matches, and then they're going to lose this match, and then they're going to win these 3 matches, and then they're going to lose these 2 matches, and you keep on doing that, the treadmill thing. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and they just stay in place. Well, how the hell am I ever giving them a chance to achieve greater potential? Again, if I'm hiring somebody, it's because I saw something in them. I looked at that person and said, okay, I think that this guy has potential to be a star. Maybe not a huge star, maybe a huge star. Maybe just a little star. Maybe the biggest star I'll ever have in my company. But I see the potential in them. I'm not hiring somebody I don't see any potential in. So, why the fuck would I job them out? Or put them on that endless treadmill, keeping them in the same spot and never letting them go anywhere? It makes no fucking sense. So what else do you do? Competition. New Japan does it the right way. Yes, I'm a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's the style that I enjoy the most, but it applies to any style. Competition. You can have somebody lose a match, and it won't hurt them because you make it competitive. And then, you might still kind of be doing the treadmill, but you aren't necessarily forcing them to stay in one spot. You can move them up and down the card. Everybody can be moved up and down the card. You keep all of your guys strong. You keep everyone looking competitive. And for a while, you have one person who is your big star, the main event. The audience starts getting a little bored with them. You move them back down the card and move somebody else up. They say that 50-50 booking doesn't work. Maybe. But I'm not talking about 50-50. I'm talking about keeping everybody competitive. You can have somebody lose 20 matches in a row, but if they're all very competitive looking matches, people won't remember that they lost. What people will remember is that they could have won. Okay? It might be a subtle distinction, but it's an important distinction. You don't have to have a jobber that looks like a schmuck. So yes, you can have jobbers, as long as they're not always going to be jobbers. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, somebody has to lose. And sometimes you need one guy to lose a lot, making him a de facto jobber. But if you keep him looking strong with competitive matches, and giving him enough wins here and there to make them, to keep people rooting, that's actually the secret, is you want to make sure people are still rooting for him or against him. If people hate the fuck out of him, it's like Jake the Snake Roberts. He lost most of his matches. Nobody gave a shit. Because he was still the most diabolical motherfucker that ever existed in pro wrestling. Didn't matter if he lost or not. People were still scared of his ass. Same thing, a good example in New Japan is Honma. He loses most of his matches, but he always looks like he could have won. And he is such a personable, emotional individual. He's like a big teddy bear. He's one of those guys that, every time he loses, you're right there with him, and you feel it. It doesn't matter that he lost. People are still going to cheer for him. They're going to cheer for him, win or lose. It doesn't matter. And that's the best place to be. So, jobbers, yes, no, maybe. In the end, you don't think of people, it's more the term I have a problem with. Because if you start thinking of somebody as a jobber, then you're taking away their future. You're taking away everything, why did you hire them in the first place, basically. If you didn't see potential in them to be better, to go someplace, to potentially become a star, why did you hire them? Just to shit on them? Just to keep them down? What was the point? Sure, there's got to be winners, there's got to be losers. But you never pigeonhole somebody as a loser. You never make them into a jobber, because then you take everything away from them. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Again, it's not the losing that's the issue for me. It's the idea of turning someone into a jobber. Mentally. In your mind, if you're the promoter, or in their mind, even worse. If you make them feel like they have no potential future other than be a jobber, you've taken away their hope. So it's more of a psychological thing than when it comes to pro wrestling, whether somebody has to win or lose, okay? It's not about 50-50 booking. It's about keeping things competitive. It's about making sure everybody has an opportunity, everybody has the potential and chance to be the top guy. And it's about making sure that if somebody has to lose, you don't make them look like an asshole. You don't make them look like a loser. And you don't make somebody into a loser. Because then if you're going to do that to somebody, you might as well just fire them and let them go someplace else. So that's kind of my thoughts on the whole concept of jobber. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.